Right now we have U.S. Senator Marco Rubio joining us on the phone. Senator Rubio, can you tell us a little bit about, from the people you've talked to, what kind of federal help would be available to us, even though we don't think the system will do as much damage as we feared, but still may cause some issues along the Florida coast?
Yeah, I was talking to Governor DeSantis about that earlier today. So there's a threshold amount. It kind of varies every year, but there's a threshold amount before federal aid is kicked in. We may not meet that threshold amount, but part of it is local governments that have undertaken costs already to prepare for a storm. So we're going to work hard to get those limits waived, because otherwise you're going to be discouraging governments in the future from undertaking these costs as a precaution. Individual assistance through FEMA and otherwise that they may be eligible for depending on the damage. And then the one we're really looking at, which has an economic impact, is beach erosion. And we won't have a clear assessment on that for a couple days, but that doesn't normally fall under FEMA, but it could be part of any sort of disaster relief effort. And some of the areas that are going to be impacted are already undergoing beach renourishment programs. So in essence, we don't want to let that money go to waste. So there's a lot to do here in the next few days once this passes, and we'll have a better sense then of what kind of help we need to go fight for in Washington.
Senator Rubio, since you've been through so many storms, obviously living in Miami so long, and then as U.S. Senator, beach erosion is something we always end up talking about when talking about one of these storms. And what is the nourishment process like? What is it? Why is it we're still talking about this when tourism and so much of our economy depends on healthy beaches?
Right. Yeah, so they've gotten better at it. Actually, is one of the technologies or one of the methods they now use is they actually dump the sand out in the ocean and let the surf kind of bring it in over time, and it renourishes that way. There's a lot of different strategies that are used for it, and it'll be an ongoing thing for us as these storms come in and out. And some of these areas have just been renourished, and others are in the process or are about to undergo that. So that's why we got to wait and see exactly how much renourishment is necessary. But it's just an ongoing process that we have to undertake. Now, it will naturally happen over time, but you don't want to lose 15 tourist seasons while you wait for it to come back. It's key to the economy of the state, and certainly going into the winter months, it becomes peak season for many of these areas.
And Senator Rubio, I know we're all focused on Florida, but if I could just ask you quickly about the Bahamas, because we've been getting so many messages from people asking what we can do to help from the federal level so far. Have you heard anything about the efforts of what people can do at this point?
Yeah, I just hung up with the ambassador from the Bahamas who had just landed in Miami. There's a couple things to keep in mind here. Number one is we have mutual aid agreements with the Bahamas. We work very closely with them year-round on a host of issues, and that we're going to continue to work with them. The most important thing, the Coast Guard is there now. They're in the air right now. They are evacuating and helping move critically injured patients. But until we get the all clear, we're not going to be able to send more planes and more ships over there to be able to begin the process of assessing it. The second thing is it's really important that it's great that people are being so generous and coming forward with donations. It is important that all of that be coordinated with the Bahamian government, because you can't just show up with all this stuff. It has to be distributed to the right places. So the Bahamian government is setting that up now. USAID and the Coast Guard and the U.S. federal government will assist with that. And it's great that we're collecting all this. We have to make sure we're collecting the right stuff. We're getting it in the hands of the right people who then can get it to the Bahamas and distribute it to the people who need it. And that's what we're working on. I was just literally hung up the phone a minute ago with the ambassador.
Senator Rubio, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us here in Orlando. We know as a federal official, someone who's been through storms and hurricanes before, well aware of how the procedures go and how we need to get better. So thanks again for calling.